With us now is Tovah. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I mean, it's pouring rain, but I'm wonderful.
So you are coming in to us from the Hamptons, I guess, out east of Long Island.
That's right. Like many people, when the pandemic hit, we left our apartment in New York City and went to our vacation home, which is normally our summer home. It's now our everything home. We've been here for over 6 months.
Okay, so we met through a mutual friend, and one of the things that inspired me was the fact that you have this new book. Tell us about Lilyville. Why did you call it Lilyville?
This book is a memoir. Hachette Books International asked me to write a memoir, and I thought the best way to do it, and the clearest way to do it, was to do it through the lens of my mother and her view of my life and my career and our relationship. And so my relationship with my mother, who lived to over 103, is the clothing whole of the book. It's the spine of the book. And from that, we see her views on what my dreams were as an aspiring young person who wanted to go to Juilliard. When I asked Mom, can I, audition, go to Juilliard, she said, "You're not going to a trade school." So this is what I was up against. When I was able to have the honor of being a principal in Pippin as Grandma Berta and swung upside down from a trapeze while singing No Time at All and bringing down the house. Very often, if you did your job in that role, the way Diane Paulus told you and fashioned that production, you would stop the show. You'd get a standing ovation in the middle of the show. And the day she came to see it, that's what happened. So after the show, I went to her. I was very, very pleased. I said, Mommy, how do you think I did? And she said, "Tovah, that you should have to earn a living like this, and on a trapeze yet." So that was Mother Lily. She was hilarious. She came to every show I ever did. Well, and not exactly, as she said, "I'm not coming to see you in the Virginia monologues. I can't say the word. But 3 women in black dresses talking about their Chatsburgers, forget it! So if you're pretty, this color, give me a ring." So I took her to the actors' benefit of hair, because there was color, there was movement, there was music. And at the end of Act 1, Will Swinson, who had the lead, comes out to straddle the armrests of a random audience member. He chose my mother, Lily. So he had his feet on her armrests, and he is over her like the Arch of St. Louis in a loincloth. And my mother, a little St. John's knit, she looks up, she looks down, she looks up, she looks down. And as the house lights come up, I say, "Mom, how did you like Act 1? She said, "Like it? I haven't had sex like this since Daddy died." So that is my extraordinary mother, Lily. And also the book has a great deal of life lessons about the value of family, the value of honoring the honored dead, the value of our forebears. All my grandparents had accents. They all came from Germany, Austria, Russia, and England. So it was a lot of sounds going on in my very, very early life, which I'm sure led to a career in the theater, where imbibing the virtues of another person, including their speech pattern. I mean, Golda Meir came from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And when you look at Golda, you think that because she looks like, she kind of looks like they're fat, and she's got the frizzy hair and everything, and 168 pounds and all this, that she's going to be like Jackie Mason. She's going to talk like this, but she don't look like she talks like a Midwesterner. And I've had the great fortune in my career to have a career, So the day I got married to Andrew Harris Levy on March 20th, 1977, we're married now over 43 years, I had won several awards on Broadway for Yentl, which was my first marquee. It was the first starring role I had on Broadway, and established my relationship with Barbra Streisand. It was 1975, 76. And on my wedding day, my mother said to me, "Tovah, you can do whatever you want now." And I'm thinking she's going to say movies, television. She said, "You're marrying a Harvard lawyer." And that was her value system. She was so happy. She built a shrine to Andrew Harris Levy, who is my husband and the father of our two children and our almost three grandchildren. We have two and one on the way in 8 weeks. So,
do you ever remember? Do you ever remember a time though when she wasn't being? Do you think that she was just being sarcastic, or do you genuinely think that's how she felt? Was there ever a time when she said to you that you did a good job, or I'm proud of you, or you're really talented, you're a great singer?
I rarely remember her ever saying, I'm really talented. But I do remember her saying, you had the audience wrapped around your finger. I remember her saying that kind of thing. That was later in my life. My mother, from her background, she was the child of immigrants. She put herself through NYU. She was the first in her family to go to university. And she met life with much more fear than I did. Yeah. I knew I was born after World War II. The Holocaust was not part of my early life at all, except with hearsay. The Feldshuhs came to America in 1902. So did my mother's family, the Kaplans. So our immediate family was not affected, thank God, by the slaughter of 6 million European Jews under the baton of Adolf Hitler. So growing up in Scarsdale with a horse, no less, I had a different experience. And I very much fashioned my life after my father, which is to grab life, to take life, and to live it in rainbow colors. So when I was in my 60s, I did trapeze, with Pippin. I also climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. The minute my mother died, I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. And she lived till she was 103, so I was already in my 60s. And this caused great conflict for us. On the other hand, she was a classical pianist, so I became a pianist to be close to my mother. But you know something, Donna? We never played a four-handed piece, ever.
Wow.
And I think that metaphor of having a single stool in front of that Steinway says a lot.
It does.
So I had to stand on my own for quite some time, but we're in, be on my own trajectory if I wanted a trajectory toward the arts. But where the book is universal is I never gave up on my mother, and in essence, she never gave up on me. And that after my father died, she bloomed like a lily. Her name was Lily. That's why it's called Lily Hill, because it's the universe of my mother, wherein inside of which all my Broadway television film roles, my marriage, our children, took place under her constant gaze, for better or for exasperation. And upon the death of my father, I realized my mother first entitled herself to a fully expressed life. And that is the key of the problem. As I write in the book, when the breast was put away in an airtight brazier by my mother, when I was but 6 weeks old, and it was never to come out again, warmth was now dominated by a shyness that no infant could ever comprehend, and there were consequences. So I took her silence as the no. I took her silence as the black hole of the universe that didn't love me. In fact, her containment and her lack of expression had to do with giving the spotlight to my father and giving the spotlight to the duties she had as a wife and a mother. So dutiful and dependable, yes, but warm as toast, it didn't happen till after Daddy died. And then she just exploded.
Wow.
And she lived so long, she became the matriarch of our family. My parents were both one of 4 children. So I had 6 aunts and 6 uncles. And she became this wisdom home plate for the family, this Judith, this heroic, wise woman who happened to be of the Jewish faith. And she's invaluable both to me and to my children and to our family. So I learned a lot. And, they say, Soroyan says, a branch, in order to bear fruit, must learn to bend. And over the extraordinary years of the arc of my journey with my mother, our branches bent so that they could intertwine. And I had the great fortune of having tremendous intimacy with my mother in the last 18 years of her life, because she outlived my father by 18 years. And we steadily grew closer. The minute I gave birth to children, we were on the same page with those values. And I often think of my marriage, and I love my husband very much, but staying on the field of play for over 40 years of her lifetime takes not only love, it takes will. It takes will. And I realized that the values she taught me about my marriage, which was never leave the field of play, finish the race, see it through, and once you give your word, you keep your word. And if you marry for love, love always returns. Those principles actually I applied to the huge decades with my mother, for better or for worse. Because there were times I just never got positive feedback. I got no feedback. And my father really was a big factor in saving not my life, but having some confidence in myself. For instance, I think I'm very pretty. And now I'm old. And I've had plastic surgery. But my father told me that I was pretty.
You are pretty.
Sue would say, Terry Sue doodle-doo-doo-doo, I love you. And I decided to adopt that myth. And I go around thinking I'm pretty every day. Sometimes I look at myself and I say I'm such a hag, but it's a big, big surprise to me. I basically think I'm a good-looking gal. So
you are pretty, and not only are you pretty, you're pretty on the inside too. And Tovah, what's so amazing to me is that so many people in the entertainment industry, we do need that approval. Whatever it is that it's like a constant need of approval. We want to be liked. We want to do a good job. We want to help people emote. We want to entertain them, right? And the applause, you've been nominated for Tonys. You have tons of accolades to your career, right? And that sound of thunderous applause and a standing ovation, and isn't it interesting though, like at the core of it, that father and that mother figure are the ones that we most want the applause from. And the fact that you wrote this book, I know thousands of people are going to be helped just by you sharing your story.
Well, it's coming out for Mother's Day. It's coming out April 13th. And
Okay.
It is the perfect Mother's Day gift because it's women celebrating each other. Also, my mother and I are very emblematic of 110 years of American history. She was born in 1911, April the 18th, and the book will be out April the 13th, 2021. And my mother was born, there was no women's suffrage. Her mother was in a corset. Cars were just barely beginning. The Bronx, where she lived, was rural. There were fields of wildflowers that she would tell me about. And she was there to witness the first bricks being built for the stadium. Wow. And on April the 18th, 1923, on my mother's 12th birthday, the Yankee Stadium opened for the first time, and the Yankees beat the Red Sox, thanks to Babe Ruth, 4-1. And of course, our family were inveterate Yankees fans, because from my crib in my grandfather's apartment, I could see the elevated L and the Yankee Stadium from there. And you never forget those things. The trouble is, I never forgot Lily's silence, so I had to work through it. So by working through it in the book and by beckoning the reader to come with me on this journey, I hope to engender hope. Because in fact, we started here and we ended here. And she went through two huge phases of women's liberation. The second wave was by the time I got to Sarah Lawrence College and the bras were burned and a woman could have it all. And here she had dedicated her life to not having it all, to being Sidney Feldshuh's wife, first and foremost. Gender equality didn't even occur to her or to many women. That's why Ruth Bader Ginsburg, which is the last great role I played, the Supreme Court Justice, that's why she was a genius. She had to educate 9 men on the Supreme Court that gender equality existed as a concept, that the cage they put us in, that golden pedestal, was in fact a cage that enclosed us. And we will none of it. Look at this marvelous election with women participating now all over.
Well, you have my vote as being one of the most dynamic and engaging interviews I have ever done. Tovah, thank you so much for your joy, your caring, amazing warmth. You're just fabulous, and I'm looking forward to watching you. I know that you're going to be in rehearsal soon for some other roles, and you're just a joy. And thank you so much. I cannot wait to spend time with you, break bread with you, and be there cheering you on. So I'll be in the front row.
COVID will end, and we will all be face to face, and everybody wear your mask. Depend on science, not on ideology. Depend on science, and for God's sake, support the democracy of the United States. And then buy Lilyville. After all,
Buy Lilyville.
We love to schmooze. We love to eat. We love to feel guilty. Make sure you buy that book.
I'm going to buy that book. You're a joy. Happy journeys to you. It was really nice. I feel like I met a new friend. Thanks, Tovah. Be well.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.